Get out of my way. You are so annoying. That girl is so nasty, I said to my best friend Kath. I can't understand why Brad is dating her. I know what's wrong with her. She really seems to have it in for you, Kath replied. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more shocking stories. Susie had always been a bit mean, but since she had started dating Brad, she seemed to have gotten worse. I tried to stay out of her way as much as possible, but sometimes it was unavoidable. Luckily, we didn't have many classes together. I usually saw her at break and lunchtime. I was waiting in the queue in the school cafeteria when I saw Susie walking towards me. I put my head down and looked at the floor, hoping she wouldn't notice me. As she got closer, she suddenly threw her drink all over me. My shirt was soaking wet. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, she said. You did that on purpose, I shouted at her. The next thing, Brad came walking over to us. Are you okay, Jasmine? He asked. Your girlfriend just threw her drink all over me, I told him. Don't listen to her, said Susie. She's crazy. But Brad was having none of it. Don't lie, I saw everything. I've just about had enough of your meanness, Susie. We're over. I don't want anything more to do with you. Susie looked at Brad in shock. It took all my effort not to burst out laughing, but I didn't want to antagonize her any further. Come with me, Jasmine, Brad said. I'll help you get cleaned up. Was this really happening? I followed Brad out to his locker. Here, you can use my towel, he said. Thanks for coming to help me. I have no idea what I have done to that girl, but ever since you and her started dating, she has had it in for me. Well, that might be my fault. Why? Well, I guess I've always had a secret crush on you, Jasmine. Susie found out and got really jealous. That's why she doesn't like you. My heart nearly skipped a beat. Had Brad really just said that he had a crush on me? I thought. Well, I kind of like you too, you know. Brad smiled at me. I don't suppose you'd like to go out on a date, would you? He asked. I blushed and said, that would be great. Brad and I started dating, and honestly, everything was perfect. We got on really well. We had always been friends, but I never dreamt that we would ever be boyfriend and girlfriend. I know it seemed quite quick, but I could already see myself marrying him. He was just the kind of boy I had always wanted. Of course, Susie was livid. She did everything she could to try to split us up. She told Brad that she had seen me kissing another boy in town, but when Brad asked her what night it was, she got all nervous and he could tell she was lying. Don't worry, Jasmine. I'll never believe a word Susie says, Brad said. I felt like I was on cloud 9. Nothing could spoil my mood. But then one day, Brad told me that he had something to tell me. What is it? I asked him. I could see by his face that it wasn't good news. My parents are sending me to a new school on the other side of town. At first, I was devastated. I hated the thought of not seeing him at school every day. Then it came to me. I would just change schools too. That way, we could still be together. I felt instantly relieved. What school are you moving to? Henley High. My heart fell. What? But that's the most expensive school in the country. Only the kids of billionaires are allowed to go there. I know, but don't worry. We can still see each other on the weekends. But that wasn't going to be enough for me. I knew that I had to find a way to be able to go to that school. When I got home, I looked up Henley High on my laptop. I opened the admissions tab and filled out all the forms. I just put fake information in to make it look as though my parents had high-paying jobs and loads of assets. It was only about an hour later when I got the email. I had been accepted to start at the school the next term. That was only in a couple of weeks. I could manage without seeing Brad at school until then. I didn't tell Brad that I had been accepted. I wanted to surprise him. I had to use all of my savings to buy the new uniform and some expensive clothes to go with my new image. The first morning at my new school, I was really nervous. I walked through the school gates and looked around to see if I could see Brad, but he was nowhere to be seen. I could hear 2 girls talking as I went past them. My caviar this morning was absolutely abysmal. I had to tell my maid to feed it to the cat, said one. Well, you think you have it bad. Can you believe I had to pour my own orange juice this morning? My maid had forgotten to pour it for me. Honestly, I swear I'm gonna get her fired. Jasmine? I turned around and saw Brad standing behind me. What are you doing here? I'm going to this school now, I said. But your parents have to be billionaires to get a place here. I hesitated for a second, but then I said, Yes, my dad got a huge promotion, so I can come here now. That's brilliant. I'm so happy you're here. I didn't like lying to Brad, but it was a small price to pay to be able to see him every day. I've just got to take something to my locker, I said. I'll see you in class. When I got to the classroom, I was surprised to see Brad sitting next to a girl. Brad, I thought we would sit together, I whispered. Oh, Jasmine, this is Lucy, he replied. I usually sit next to her in class. Oh, please, Brad, I've missed you so much. Brad got up and we sat down at another desk together. Lucy scowled at me. I didn't care though, I was just happy to be back in class with Brad. When the lesson ended, I got up to leave. Lucy pushed past me and hissed under her breath. You're gonna regret making an enemy out of me. It was a couple of weeks later that I overheard Lucy talking with her friends. I'm just not convinced her parents are billionaires. Have you heard the way she speaks? She sounds like she's a homeless person. Her friends all laughed. I knew that I had better be a bit more careful around Lucy. I didn't want to risk her finding out who I really was. I decided I would make sure to speak with a posh accent whenever I was near her. Everyone at the school was super wealthy. They were always throwing parties at their houses and invited the whole school. The following weekend, it was Lucy's turn to host a party at her house. I didn't expect to be invited at all. So it was a big surprise when Brad came and showed me his invitation. It was written out to Brad and Jasmine. Wow, I said, I'm shocked. You will come, won't you? Asked Brad. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to go, but Brad was definitely going, so I wanted to be there too. Sure, I'll come. I had never seen a house as big as Lucy's before. It was enormous. There were about 10 luxury cars parked in the driveway, Porsches, Bentleys, etc. Her family was obviously super rich. Lucy opened the door as we got near the house. Come in, you two. Everyone's through here, she said, pointing to the back of the house. Brad saw some of his friends and went over to have a chat with them. I decided that I would take a look around the house. I started exploring, going from room to room. Eventually, I ended up in what was obviously Lucy's dad's office. I noticed some paperwork on his desk and went over to take a look. What I found really shocked me. Suddenly, Lucy came in. What are you doing? I'm sorry, I went to the toilet and got lost on the way back. She looked at me suspiciously. Okay, but don't come in here again. We went back to the party. I made sure to stay out of Lucy's way for the rest of the night. Anyway, all I wanted to do was hang out with Brad and his friends. It was the end of the fall term and the school was organizing a parent and teacher evening. I wasn't worried about it. I had already sent the school an email supposedly from my dad saying that him and mom would be out of town on important business, so I would be attending alone. The school hadn't even questioned it. On the night of the meeting, I went along by myself. Almost all of the other kids were there with at least one of their parents. I saw Lucy walking with her dad. I looked in the opposite direction, but when she saw me, she suddenly shouted, Jasmine, where is your family? They couldn't make it. They're away for business. That's it. I know you're lying. I know you're not rich. Yes, I am. Oh, you stupid girl. I found a photo of you with your family. It was taken in front of your pathetic little house. It's obvious you're not rich. In fact, you're poor. Jasmine, is this true? Asked Brad. Did you lie about your dad's promotion? I was about to make an excuse, but before I could say anything, I heard the sound of glass shattering, followed by the heavy thud of footsteps. The room suddenly filled with FBI agents. They grabbed hold of Lucy's dad and put handcuffs on him. Ma'am, we've apprehended the suspect. What's your next order? Asked one of the officers. Take him to the detention center and contain him, I replied, suddenly serious. I'll be along to question him soon. Just give me 5 minutes. Everyone looked at me in shock. I'm sorry, Brad. I couldn't tell you before, but I'm working for the government. I had to lie about being rich, but when I told you that I loved you, that was the truth. Then I turned to Lucy. She looked confused, to say the least. I suppose she'd never expected me to be a spy. Lucy, what you don't know is that your dad has been laundering money. He is part of a big syndicate that has been involved in various criminal activities for a number of years. The FBI and I have been trailing him for weeks. That's why I had to pretend to be a billionaire's daughter. I needed to come to this school to be able to get closer to him. It was the only way I could find the evidence to put him away. Lucy was in shock. It can't be true, she cried. I'm sorry, but it is. Remember when you caught me in your dad's office? Yes. Well, I found proof of his crimes, and that was all I needed to put him away for a very long time. It was all written out on the papers on his desk. Lucy started crying, and her friends led her away. I turned to look at Brad. I'm so sorry, Brad. I really hope you can forgive me for lying to you. Brad smiled at me. Of course I forgive you. I was so relieved. But now I had a job to do. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to leave, Brad. I have to go and interview Lucy's dad. I left the school and went straight to the detention center. When I arrived, one of the officers came to fill me in. Sorry, ma'am, he's denying everything. Of course he is. They all do in the beginning. Don't worry, I will get a confession out of him, I said. I went into the room where Lucy's dad was being held. He looked up as I entered. I don't know what this is all about, he said. Don't try to deny anything. We have all the evidence, I said. But you must have made a mistake. I have never done anything illegal in my whole life. I spent an hour interrogating him, but he still wouldn't admit to anything. I left the room and went to speak to my senior officer. It's no good, sir. He's still denying everything. Okay, we will need him to take a lie detector test then. Set it up, he said. He took the test and I waited for the officer to bring me the results. I'm sorry, ma'am. It looks like he is telling the truth. He has passed the tests. There is no way that he is the one that has been laundering the money. Well, if it's not him, then who can it be? We'd better go back to his house and see if we can find out anything else. I got into the car with the other FBI agents and we drove to Lucy's house. When we arrived, I could see a light on in her dad's office. That's the room we need to get to, I told them. We went into the house and up the stairs to the office. Shh, I said. I can hear someone talking on the phone. I put my ear to the door and listened. Oh, it was so funny. You should have seen his face when they handcuffed him. He had no idea what was going on. It was Lucy on the phone, but why would she be laughing? Don't worry, they have no idea that it was me all along. My dad is going to take the rap for it. I looked at the officers beside me and smiled. Did you hear that? Yes, ma'am. I think we've got our target now. What did you think of my story? Comment down your thoughts below and please give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it.